Okay, today's the day. New NFL season begins tonight with Rams Bills. Figured I might as well get my predictions for the season on the record in video form. I won't get real in depth. There's no point getting real in depth. I'll kind of just do division by division. We'll start over in the AFC. I got the Bills in the East. Everyone has the Bills in the East. It's not a creative pick, but it feels like an absolute lock because who's going to top them? Like, I think the Dolphins will be okay. The Patriots will probably be okay. Jets are terrible, but no one's going to be better than the Bills. I mean, the Bills basically, if the Bills held on to that late lead against the Chiefs in the playoffs, they're probably hosting the game tonight because they're the defending champs. Because Cincinnati does not go into Buffalo and win that game if it comes to that. So yeah, Bills in the East by a mile. North, I got the Ravens. If they're healthy, they're better. They would have probably won the division last year, but they had tons of injuries. They lost their quarterback. All sorts of stuff happened. What they lose like 6 in a row or something at the end of the season. But you don't keep the Ravens down for long. I think they'll win the division. I think the Bengals will still. Bengals, look, Super Bowl loser curse. It hits everybody to some degree, unless you're the Patriots. They're the only team that's been able to overcome that in basically decades. And get back to where they were. So yeah, I think the Bengals will probably still be a wild card. And then Pittsburgh, I don't think Pittsburgh will be as bad as some people think because they didn't get much from the quarterback last year. So if they don't get much from the quarterback this year, it's not going to be that big of a change. And Cleveland will get the awful season that they deserve for trading for the rapist and paying him hundreds of millions of dollars and that fan base for defending him at all costs, which is kind of sickening. Talk about a team going from being like the lovable underdog to being just despised in record time. South, I really wanted to go out on a limb and pick the Jaguars. I really because I think if any team's going to kind of be this year's Bengals and be just a downtrodden team that really rises up with the young quarterback, I think it'll be Jacksonville. But I'm a chicken. I couldn't do it, so I went with the Colts, which is who most people are going with. But I think Jacksonville will be in the mix a little bit. I think Tennessee will fall off, and Houston's terrible. They're not a factor. West. The West is the loaded division that everyone's excited about. I do think the Chiefs' reign at the top there will end. And although I think the Chiefs, on any given day, are still going to be able to beat anybody, and they'll still be a dangerous team, in the playoffs. And I do think they'll get in the playoffs, of course. I think I'll go with Denver. I'll buy into the Russell Wilson, revitalization, and the the idea that just getting them some good quarterback play will really make a huge difference because they haven't had anything since the end of Peyton, and even the end of Peyton wasn't good. So, I'll go with them. I'll go with Denver to win that one. Chargers, I think, probably will make the playoffs, but I've seen people picking the Chargers to win the Super Bowl. I think that's a little extreme, but we'll see. I do think they'll make the playoffs, though, and of course, once you make the playoffs, anything can happen. We were about a quarter away from having a pair of 7 lost teams in the Super Bowl last year, so things can happen. And that means I got the Raiders as the kind of the odd team out. Although I think they'll be decent, I just think they're the weakest in a really good division. Put them in just about any other division, and then they're competing for the division. But so NFC East, I'm also kind of going out on a limb. This is my one going out on a limb pick. I'm picking Washington to win the division, just because I think they still have a good defense, and I think Wentz will be good enough. I know people are really, really down on Wentz, but look at what Washington's had at quarterback the last few years. They've had nothing. Almost as if they should have kept a certain guy that they had. Yeah, I think Wentz will be revitalized a little bit there. And I don't like the other teams. I don't buy into the Philadelphia stuff. I've seen people picking Philadelphia to go to the Super Bowl. I don't see that at all. I don't think they were really a playoff team last year. They're just, I think they'll be okay, but I don't see them as a real like title contender. I think Dallas will probably make the playoffs as a wild card. That might get the coach fired anyway. I've seen people picking Dallas for the Super Bowl too. I just don't get it. I don't get any of those teams. And every year Dallas is like a game or two worse than people think going in. So, and the Giants are, they're still the weakest team in that division, I think. I'll skip the North for now. South, here we go again. Tom Brady playing in a terrible division, guaranteeing an easy schedule, guaranteeing a really good record, and probably home field advantage. Isn't that wonderful how that always works out for him? And of course, Gronk will come back. Everyone has to understand that, right? That Gronkowski will return at some point in the season. But yeah, Tampa Bay is easily going to win that division. I really don't see anyone else in that division doing anything. Some people have the Saints in the playoffs. I don't really see that. They'll be like okay. I don't think they'll be like a bottom feeder, but they're not being in the playoffs. Carolina, I don't think will be in the playoffs. I don't think. I could actually see Carolina maybe being a surprise team if Mayfield has kind of the kind of comeback season, but I don't really see that happening in Atlanta. Is very bad. Over in the West, I'm going with the 49ers, even though they're breaking in the new quarterback, although they did keep Garoppolo, but so I guess if things go bad, they'll just move back to him. But yeah, I think Trey Lance will be fine. I think he'll be good, and it's a similar type of quarterback, so they still have a lot of talent there. They got a good defense, got Debo. I think they'll be very good, really, regardless of who the quarterback is. But I think Lance will be fine. Rams, I think they'll have a little bit of a hangover. They'll still be in the playoffs, but they'll have a little bit of a hangover, and that'll knock them back. Cardinals, I was a believer in the Cardinals last year. When they were 6-0, I thought that they might really be the real deal, and then they just went in the tank, and there's all sorts of Kyler Murray drama all the time. So I don't see much happening there that's good. I don't think they'll make the playoffs probably. And then Seattle is really going to be bad. I have no idea why Pete Carroll didn't retire. I guess he's just going to collect a paycheck. So yes, over to the North, and I guess I'll kind of weave in, and I might do like a longer Viking season preview thing later, but I do still think Green Bay is going to win the division. I think Green Bay will be a little worse than they've been the last few years. I mean, they've been right at the top for like 3 years. It's hard to sustain that level year after year after year. Lost some receivers. I think the division itself has gotten a little better. I don't think they're going to fall off completely or anything. I think they'll still be, one of the favorites to probably win the Super Bowl, or at least go to the Super Bowl. I do have the Vikings making it a race, though. I have the Vikings in second. I have the Vikings at 11-6. I don't want to make this a whole Viking video, but I don't see how a team that was 8-9 with like a historically unclutched defense in those final minutes of halves and terrible injury situations and a cancerous coach and all these things, like I don't see, and of course they had a harder schedule last year, easier schedule this year. On paper, things can change. We saw that last year. We thought Cincinnati was an easy opener, but I don't see how they, like, I've seen people pick picking them to be worse than last year. I don't, unless O'Connell is just terrible as an in-game coach, I don't see how that is possible. Or they have, obviously if Kirk gets hurt, that or have another just terrible year of injuries. Like, I don't see how they could possibly not improve by 2 or 3 games. I don't see how that's even possible. So I got them improving by 3 games and winning 11, being a wild card. Some people I think are getting tricked by Hard Knocks into thinking the Lions are going to be some great team. I think they'll be pesky. I think they'll be better than last year, but I don't think they're a great team. I think they'll be, a distant third, and then the Bears really, I would be shocked. I would be more shocked if the Bears didn't finish last than like almost any other thing in the division. So my wild cards, I got AFC, I got Chiefs and Bengals and Chargers, and NFC, Vikings, Dallas and the Rams. And then I couldn't bring myself to pick Tom Brady to go to a Super Bowl. I just couldn't do it. I like had a gag reflex hitting me as I was figuring this stuff out. So I got the 49ers. I got the 49ers beating Tampa in the NFC Championship game in Tampa. And the AFC, it's Buffalo. It's going to be the year of Buffalo. And it's almost unfortunate that so many people are picking Buffalo. Like 80% of the people I've seen their Super Bowl picks, they've got Buffalo in there. It's almost like too obvious. It's almost like, well, what's going to happen to screw this up? And it's not like the Bills are a lock, but when they're playing in an easier division, should help them get home field. And I know that one seed hasn't in a couple of years now they've had where it's just the one team on a bye. It hasn't necessarily helped, but I don't see anyone like Buffalo. No one's going to go into Buffalo in January and beat them. So I just think they get that number 1 seed, which I think they will. I think they're going to win 14 or 15 games. I don't see how they don't go to the Super Bowl. And yes, I have them winning the Super Bowl, like a lot of people. I have, our fellow 0-4 Super Bowl team. I think they're leaving the nest this year. I think this is Buffalo's year. I think everything kind of points to them. And other than injuries, I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. It used to be Trubisky. I don't know who it is now, but unless there's like a major injury thing for them, like they have the talent on offense, they have the talent on defense. Again, I think if they hold on to that lead in Kansas City in the playoffs, they're already Super Bowl champs. And this year, I don't think they're going to have that problem because they're going to be playing at home. If they play Kansas City in the playoffs, they're going to be playing at home. And if they play any of these other teams, they're going to be playing at home. And I think they're going to get it done. So, yeah, I have the Bills over the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And can't wait to look back on this in a few months and see how dreadfully wrong I was.